All right, welcome to another episode of the Vinny Show. I'm Vinny from South Philly. My guest tonight from Chester, local guy, which I love. Welcome everyone, actor Chris Mann. Chris, I really appreciate you being here. How you doing tonight?
Hey, Vinny, how you doing, man? I appreciate you having me on your show, man. I really do. It's great to be here. Great to be seen, as they
Hey,
say.
it's an honor, man. And guess what? Your background looks 10 times better than my background.
I
I
got a
gotta get
couple.
a studio, Chris.
I got a couple tricks up my sleeve.
Well, I'll tell you, it's really nice to have. I have an affinity for local artists, and that's why it makes this interview even more special for me. Obviously I'm a Philly guy, so
Right.
it's really cool to have somebody locally that we can bring on the show. So every opportunity I get, I try to do that.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's nothing like getting love from home, and that's a hard thing to do sometimes too, man.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a tough thing too, being in the business that you're in and being
Mm,
an actor. It's a little tough. I mean, we're close to New York, so that's a good thing, but it's a little
yeah,
tough.
yeah, it is. It really is. A lot of times, we're so close that sometimes we tend to people tend to see us as being in the shadow of New York. You know what I mean? And nobody wants to feel like they're the little brother. You know what I mean? Little brother has to challenge big brother every now and again.
That's right. That's right. It's a truth too, because yeah, New York's is a hot one of biggest place and one of the biggest hottest markets for acting in general and film industry. So
Right.
it's tough, man. It's tough. But you know what? Hey, listen, for those that may not know it, Philly, I'm pretty sure Philly started the whole motion picture industry back in the day.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, we got a good history here, man. It's a lot of talent comes out of the city too in this area. A lot.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
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 A lot of great actors, as you know, and you're
Yeah.
one of them.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. All right. So, Chris, let's tell the viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you said, I'm from Chester. Actually moved around a little bit when I was younger, and ended up back in Philly after all of the growing pains and whatnot. And I got into the business after I left Virginia State University. I came back home and started taking commercial classes, and that went well. And it's actually something that I always wanted to do anyway as a kid. I was a not only child. My mother had me, but I had two half brothers. You know what I mean? But I wasn't raised in the house with them, so a lot of times I was by myself. So TV was one of those things that I was drawn to keep me company as a kid growing up. You know what I mean? So watching actors and seeing those things kind of it fancied my imagination as a kid. So in the back of my mind, I always wanted to try it. So anyway, started commercial classes. That went well, and then you kind of get bit by that bug, and you want to get deeper into the art, the craft. You want to find out, hey, I want to get some dramatic stuff. So started taking scene study classes with casting directors and theater classes. I started taking theater classes and studying and grinding, and eventually started going driving across country. I went to California and doing seminars and trying to get the auditions and whatnot. And then I ended back in Philly studying with a gentleman by the name of George DiCenzo. And I have to give Mike Lemon his credit too, because Mike Lemon was one of the first people who inspired me and saw that I had some talent. So that was a boost in the arm for me just from Mike alone. But George was a Yale drama graduate, and he was an acting teacher in Hollywood, acting coach and whatnot, and a producer. And he also was a protege of another gentleman by the name of Milton Castells, who was a very, very famous director and producer in Hollywood as well. And George also studied. Milton Castells studied under Elia Kazan and Lee Strasberg. So just that kind of pedigree and being able to study under somebody like that was a gift, if to say the least. And from there on, once you get into it and you start working with different people and you start, you find your voice, you find out what it is that you have that's different about you that you can put that in character that you bring, and you just let it go, man. So I'm here now today because of those things, that I took in.
That's awesome. So you're basically just a few generations of separation between Eli Kazan and Strasburg. That's pretty
Yeah,
cool, man.
yeah, that is cool. That is real cool. Yeah,
Yeah, they're obviously titans in the industry. So I mean, you coming from, as you said, a great pedigree.
Right, right, right. Yeah, just to be able to to know that that's the line of people who you studied under, and they've sprinkled some pearls on you, you know what I mean, and giving you some things, some tools to work with. Yeah.
And that's as anybody knows, it's in the industry. That's a tough thing to have to bounce around, go here, go there, traveling. It's tough
Yeah.
it's tough to have a stable lifestyle when you do that kind of stuff. But it's good that you did it back when you did it. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, and I wasn't unfortunately I wasn't the kid that could go to Yale or some other prestigious acting school, you know what I mean? So I came up with what I call the rough side of the mountain, but as the old folks say, if the mountain wasn't rough, you couldn't climb it, you know what I mean? So so I climbed that mountain, man.
yeah, it's true. Anything worth doing is a struggle.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That's great. Okay, so now tell us about some of the projects you've worked on. I mean, I know because I've read your background, but tell the guests some of the things you've been involved with.
Well, one of the uh, projects I guess I'm most known from most people who know me as from The Wire. Played Councilman Tony Gray on The Wire. I was running for mayor. It was a great experience. I think I did like 12 episodes, and I had a nice little storyline around my character. So that was a hot spot right there. Uh, my role in the movie Loving. About the movie Loving, about Mildred and Richard Loving, who got married in Virginia in 1958 and got put out of the state because their marriage was illegal because they were an interracial couple. So I played Ruth Nega's father in the movie. That alone was just great just because of the significance of the story. You know what I mean, and the racial relations in our country and whatnot. So it was a very pivotal story in our history, and so that alone, I'm proud, to have been a part of that. I mean, there's other things I did. I mean, even some of the smaller things. I did another independent film called The North Star, and that dealt with slavery. Is another, and it's actually based off a true story as well. And I played my character was. Uh, uh, he didn't have a good light shine on him. I got to play somewhat of a villain in the midst of the slavery story. If you get to see it, my character's name was Willie. It's actually a really good film. If you get a chance to check it out, it's called The North Star. Um, oh, another now Sonny Velazzi had a little a web series that he did here in Philly called Finders Keepers, and I did an episode where I played Uncle Fred, and that's one of the few comedies that I've worked on, and it was great. I mean, we had such a good time in that working on that series, man. What was Uncle Fred? What they call him? Uncle Fred. Uncle Fred was, in layman's terms, on the street you would call him a pimp, but Uncle Fred, Uncle Fred wanted to be called a female companion expediter.
Female companion expediter.
Yeah.
Listen, that's a new one for me. That's
Um,
great. I love it.
Yeah, and then I had the chance to work with George Clooney and Michael Clayton. I worked with Clive Owens and Born Legacy. Tony Gilroy was a great director to work with him. Barry Levinson, David Fincher, Jeff Nichols. I worked with some really great, talented directors and writers, over the years. Ernest Dickerson, Joe Chappelle, John David Coles. I mean, these are powerhouse directors in the industry. So that's been a blessing alone, just to be able to do that stuff. I'm proud of all of that.
Yeah, those are pretty big names, man. That's a privilege to be around those guys.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
And you're also in Creed, right?
Yep, I did Creed 2. Yes, yes, I did do Creed 2. I think. Oh, I did another one. I did another local one called The Nomads, which was another good one as well. Man, that's a very good film. If you get a chance to see these things, if I'm throwing the names out, if you haven't checked them out, if you get a chance, you really want to see these movies, man. It's I've been fortunate, and I'm looking for bigger and better things to come. It's not over. You know what I mean? The fat lady hasn't sang yet. So I'm ready.
That's right, man. Keep on going.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
absolutely,
always there's as long as you're alive, there's always a role for you.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, I just want to remind our guests, please the movies that Chris mentioned. Make sure you check them out. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
it's worth your while, definitely.
Um,
And okay, so let's talk about some struggles. Tell us about some of your struggles along the way in pursuing this career.
Yeah, well, I guess one would be the fact that I didn't really start till I was in my early 20s. There's a lot of actors that start out as child actors and work their way through, and some who are fortunate enough to go to, like I said, these prestigious acting schools, and they get connected to the network basically because of the routes that they came through. So mine was a little more of a backdoor type approach, but I was able to. Uh, be in circles with people who were very astute and able to pass on the knowledge that I needed. So I'm still fortunate for that.
That's
So
a
yeah, so getting started later, was already uphill climb because you're trying to get into something that you probably should have started years before. By that time I was moving into it, I was married, had kids. I was working a 9 to 5 that I was trying to hold on to. Um, uh, and then once you start getting the work, though, people in the regular workplace will start thinking that you're some big movie star, and you're trying to explain to them that you're not. And the 80% of the actors that you see live at poverty level and even lower. You know what I mean? Because until you become that star, it's still a struggle. It's a hard thing, and getting some of the work that I was getting had them thinking that I was something else, and I tried to explain to them, and I lost my job, I lost my house, my kids, I had kids that were in college. I'm trying to get them through. So yeah, it was, man. It's been some tough times, man. You know what I mean? Fortunately, spiritually and mentally, I've gotten over it because there was a time when I wasn't sure. You know what I mean? I was really like, when sometimes you learn well when you focus on the negativity, a lot of times you draw that back from the universe. So I had to really get to the place where I accept who I was and be proud of who I was, and not let that be more important than who I am. The things that had happened, and let my true self and that energy that I have become what I focus on, because that's what the universe gives back to you, whatever you put out. So I've gotten past it, you know what I mean? Because there was times when I couldn't talk about it, you know what I mean? Because it hurt. But with my wife, in my corner, and my kids, I still, they respected me and supported, what I was doing. So yeah, it was rough though. I ain't gonna tell you, I can't tell no lies, Vinny. It was tough,
Hmm.
man.
Yeah, Chris. But listen, man, I'll tell you what. Thank God you have that support system and
Yeah,
keeping the faith and just one day at a time. And now
yeah.
it's not. I know everybody I talk to, and whether they were actors, comedians, whatever, they all just struggling.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I say, and those were the things that I was dealing with outside of the industry that were giving me problems. I mean, even working in the industry is tough alone just to get to work. You know what I mean? Because with the list of things that I was talking about and the projects that I do, a lot of times I'll book another gig and they'll treat me like this is the first job I ever had. So sometimes the lack of acknowledgement or respect for the work that you've done by other people is, it can actually punch holes in your ego. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, but you're right because there's that cynicism, right? You got these cynical people that they don't take a minute to think. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, but like I said, you get past that too. You can't let that be a focus. You just have to let it fall to the wayside, let it dissipate, and keep moving, man.
yeah. Now, what about some? Are there any actors that you look up to, or alive or past that that you look at and you draw inspiration from?
Yeah. Oh well. Well, one in particular, I actually met Marlon Brando years ago.
Wow, nice.
And I was good friends. I haven't seen him in a while, but one of his sons is named Miko. I knew Miko, and he Marlon was a big fight fan, boxing fan, and I actually had the opportunity to watch De La Hoya and Trinidad fight with him, and Miko and some other folks, man. And man, what a I mean, he was a beautiful person, man. I mean, just his spirit was really kind and generous, and he pat me on the back when he met me. Hey man, I'm glad you guys could come. Blah, blah, blah. And that just, I mean, that moment will stay for me forever, man. You know what I mean? Because he was a giant in this industry. You know what I mean? George Clooney, have so much respect for him. When I worked with him first on Ocean's 11, and they cut my scene. It happens. And then a few years later, they did Michael Clayton, and I booked the role in Michael Clayton as Lieutenant Elston, I think his name was. And the second day on that shoot, my brother passed away.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, and I was on set, and we weren't finished shooting, so I had to try to get myself together. And George actually came out to me and said, "Hey, look, man, if you want to leave," he said, "you can go home, and we can come back another day and shoot this scene." And we're talking Michael Clayton and the kind of budget that they put out for a shoot for a day. You know how much money that would cost for me to say, okay, I'm gonna go home and we can come back. I mean, you got to pull all these people back to the set. You got to reschedule that whole thing. So for him to even have that kind of compassion, what I mean, and we had already spoken and talked earlier that day, and he actually remembered working on the scene with me in Ocean's 11 years before that. So I mean, it was just something about him, and his generosity and his authentic self that struck a chord, man. He's a wonderful person, man. And then there's other, like, on the wire. I met so many people on the wire: Glenn Sherman and Frankie Faison, Isaiah Whitlock Jr., all the people that I worked with, closely in the scenes. Beautiful people, man. I will have to say there are some really um, good good people in this industry. You know what I mean? It's not, I'm sure well, I have stories about other folks that I'm not going to mention because it's need and talk. My grandma said, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say anything at all.
Well, we'll have to do like a paid subscription for that stuff.
Exactly. Right. That's a TMZ moment, man. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I bet. But yeah, but that's like any industry. You got the good, you get the bad. That's just life. That's
It
just
is.
life.
It absolutely is. It absolutely is.
And I'm no actor. I don't pretend to be, but I did a few things. And you talk about getting caught. I got cut out of Rocky Balboa, man. But I was like,
Did you?
and I was like, I went. I didn't. They pulled me out of the crowd. It's not like I went there. It's not like I auditioned or anything. But I
No.
did a couple scenes. But I got to hang out with the Stallone brothers, so I was all
Okay.
right.
Cool. That's cool, man. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, it's still part of your memory. It's part of who you are. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I couldn't wait for it to come out. I'm telling everybody, yeah, I'm in the movie. Like, yeah, you're gonna love it. This. I'm like, where am I? But we all
Awesome.
been there. We all get the cut sometimes.
Well, hey, look, the Ocean's 11 was horrible, man, because they sent me an invite to the red carpet screening. I mean, not the red carpet; it was a private screening out in Westwood, out in California. And I flew out there on my own ticket just to find out that I was cut out of the movie, man.
Oh man,
I flew all the way to LA thinking, okay, I can't wait to see my scene. And I'm going, oh, it's gone.
that's rough.
Um,
That's rough,
that's
Chris.
yeah, that's mud in your eye.
Well, I'll tell you what. No, that's some good insight into, like you mentioned, Brando. You mentioned Clooney. That's really cool. I'm glad to hear those kind of stories, the type of compassion that's out there, because
Yeah,
especially when you just you feel like you're like, wow, these people are big time, and when they show you a little bit of love, it means a lot.
yeah, but like I said, I've been in Screen Actors Guild for 26 years now, and as I've grown from that 20 something year old to now, I have come to learn that your 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 idea of who you are and everything else around you is very important, and you have to make sure you don't let anything become any bigger than you are. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a big industry. People, yeah, it's fine, but nothing in this life. This is your life, so everything in your life, everything about you is bigger than anything that you're going to experience in this life. So don't let anything become bigger than you. You know what I mean? You enjoy it, have fun with it. Be respectful, show love, live love, laugh. Be happy. But nothing is bigger than you. So once you get to that point, and when you understand that, you don't become crushed by anything that comes from it, whether it be good or positive, but good or negative. You know what I mean? It doesn't have that impact because you're in control of who you are.
That's
You know what I mean?
So well said, Chris. So well
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right, so tell us what's going on lately. You have anything on horizon?
Okay, well, the last thing that I did, which is just I don't know if a lot of people have seen it yet. It's a Peacock series called The Calling. I did that. That came out in November, but like I said, a lot of people still are discovering the show. It hasn't, I don't know if everybody's watched it yet. It's a really good series. It's a cop series that's on Peacock. I did well because of the pandemic. A lot of things slowed down. First of all, and I did do work. I did work on two indie films. One called Falls High. It's shot in Philadelphia. A native of Philadelphia is a young man named Kevin Johnston directed the film. He's from Philly, but he lives in California now. They have Amari Hardwick and Elise Neal and some other folks in the film. It's screened at the American Black Film Festival, and I think I heard that it was supposed to screen at the Essence Film Festival as well. But the critiques that I've been getting about the film are phenomenal. They said this movie was really great. I have a really good, powerful scene in there. I haven't seen it, but the director and some other folks said, "Yo, you killed it." So I can't wait to see can't wait to see the film to see to actually watch the whole thing. But I heard it's actually absolutely a great movie. They don't have the distribution set up yet, so I don't know where you're going to be able to see it. But I'm almost certain within the next 6 months you'll be hearing something about Fells High.
Well,
Um,
Chris, you let me know when that does when that's out. What's coming out, and what I'll
yeah.
do is on my social media we'll blast it out.
Okay, absolutely. And another indie that I did, and this one I did it for well, I call him young man. He's younger than me. His name is Donnell Reguster. I've known him for a long time, and he studied did some film. He studied film and whatnot. He's been dying to do his first feature, and I got it. He contacted me. I got involved with the film. He has another woman named Roland Bailey, who's the executive producer. It's called One Gun. This is another. I mean, the concept uh, when I first read the script, I was like, wow, this concept is amazing. I don't want to give a lot away, but I'm playing. I have a partner where we're the lead detectives on this case, and we're following a gun. And it keeps ending up in odd places, and things are happening, and we're tracing and tracking it down and trying to stop it from. I don't want to say anymore, but yeah,
you got
yeah.
us. You got us on the edge of our seats now.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it's a very interesting film, and I just saw a couple clips the other day that from the post production, and they're like 96% done. It's almost really just tighten up the loose ends on the film. But yeah, what I saw, I was like, wow, this is looking good. And this is a true indie. This is an indie that's like we talking skin of your teeth budget and the whole nine. You know what I mean? I don't believe that money can be the determining factor of how good a film can be. It's all about the talent and the dedication to making it happen. You know what I mean? So we'll see. It's called One Gun.
Yeah, hey, Chris, you got that right because there's movies that spend tens of millions, and you're like, I don't know what they were thinking.
Exactly.
And then you get an
Exactly.
independent, and you're like, wow, that's such a good story. That was well written, well shot,
Right.
well cast. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one as well. So those two are be coming out sometime with hopefully by the end of this year. Hopefully.
I'm going to give you a new phrase that you can use in the industry.
Okay.
All right. You
All right.
heard of shoestring budgets?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right, I got something for you. Me and Sal came up with. It's called dental floss budget. so it's even slimmer than that.
Yeah, man. Good gracious. Yeah, you can get into the smallest panties with this one, man.
So you can go ahead and use that with your buddies.
Dental floss. Oh, I love it. Dental floss budget. Oh, wow, that's a good one. That's
All right,
hilarious.
so where can the guests find you? I know you're all over the place, but where can they find you online?
Yeah, Facebook, just under Christopher Mann. On Instagram, it's Chris Mann SR. That's for senior. So it's all together, Chris Mann SR. And on Instagram, it's at Chris Mann SR. Uh, Twitter, I believe, is just under Chris Mann. And LinkedIn is, I'm trying to remember. No, it's TikTok is, how does that go? It's at Christopher Man 0. At Christopher Man 0. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is.
Well, I'll make sure I put it in the description. It'll be down here. So those of you watching, make sure you look at the description down below, and that's where
Okay.
you can find. And I highly encourage all of you. Seriously, I mean this. Uh, and I say this every episode, but I really want you to do this. Check him out. Make sure you like him, you follow him, and pay attention to what he's doing. And you're
Uh,
also on IMDb too, in case people like to go on
yeah,
IMDb.
absolutely. I'm on IMDb. You'll see me there. I got a and everything, so you'll see that. And then you can see some of the other work. I mean, it's a pretty lengthy list. Like I said, I've been fortunate to get some work. So, you know,
Yeah, I
right.
was I was really impressed by the IMDb. Really nice, man. Really good movies.
Thank you. And there's actually a performance reel on there for anybody who goes there. You can watch the reel on IMDb as well. Yeah.
Great, yeah, and that's also if anybody's out there who's because we have I'm sure filmmakers out there that are watching.
Hmm.
We may want to consider reaching out to Chris for your next feature.
Hey,
So
right here. I'm right
don't,
here.
that's it. Don't forget me, Chris.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. Well, they got it's a 2-for-1 package. You got to bring Vinny in, all right?
And I'm not playing the mob guy. Okay, I'm not doing it no more.
That's right. I'll do the mob guy. Hey.
I'll be Uncle Freddie.
There you go. I love it.
All right, this has been one of my best interviews yet. So, Chris, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. You've
Oh,
been a
you
great
welcome.
guest, man. I can't wait to get more into your films, and we got to get together. I definitely want to hang out. You, me, and Sal will all have a nice time together.
Absolutely. That sounds good, man. Sounds like a plan. I'm with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, friends, again, thank you for tuning in. Our guest tonight has been Chris Mann. If you haven't already, please make sure you like, subscribe to me. Check out Chris. Get with all of his social media, and keep on watching. Keep on spreading the good word. And God bless. Thank you very much.